heat trees floating around all day. I don't have it on top of
So how bad did the basement flood? Right up there? Oh, Jesus, eh?
the guy that went in said they got trees straight up to here.
I think I see a basement light on in there now.
Or there might be like a heater or something going on there. Or the light of it.
Well, all the windows were frosted up.
But it's still on.
No, it wasn't too bad today, I don't think.
Oh, I was there Monday.
No.
Everybody's telling me you really need to put more trees, and it hasn't been. But I should have new ones on Friday. Tweak the description a little bit. So other extra stuff. Yeah, they're good for a month and then they'll go.
I can't wear them. They bug my eyes so bad.
I can feel those,
Yeah.
but they have more. I find some of the dryness happens, but you're supposed to wear them maximum 10 hours. Yeah. And when I'm on a road trip, and that sometimes I'm out on a 12, 14-hour mark.
You know right away.
You can,
Yeah.
I mean, you're sitting there, you're squeezing your eyeball trying to get a rep or
Yeah.
eyeball.
All right, everybody, we've got... I'm holding on. Good evening, everybody, and we have got 6 o'clock, so we'll get this, we'll call this meeting to order. So somebody should have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Moved by myself, second by Conrad Atkinson. Resolved that the agenda be adopted as amended or presented. I don't think there was any amendments.
Seeing none? All in favor of the agenda? Nobody opposed? So that's... Next, we have confirmation of the minutes. Somebody should have a resolution for that.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Atkinson. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 28th, 2022 be hereby approved, all statutory declarations having been complied with.
Any questions? No questions? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. I guess just before we get the citizen period, I would like to take a couple of minutes just to recognize our employees and all the hard work they've been doing around removal of snow in our community the last couple of weeks. I know there's a lot of feedback that and everybody has their priorities, but you know, with the limited amount of resources and the extra effort and hours our guys are putting in, working through their lunch breaks, coming in early, staying late, we appreciate it, and I'm sure we've got a lot of positive feedback as well on through social media to my account. So thanks to that. Any other recognition anybody would like to provide?
I'd like to introduce our councillor, even though it would be by resolution, I'd like to introduce her sitting at her table.
Sure. You want to introduce yourself before we get started?
Sure. So I'm Rafia. I'm the new youth counselor. I'm a student at MBCI. I'm in grade 12. I'm a pretty proud member of the student community there, and I volunteer at the library here.
Awesome. Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
We're looking forward to your input.
Yep.
Good. Citizen period. I see we have one citizen here, but I believe we're waiting for an in-camera discussion on that. I see nobody else. Our friend Jackie's here as well, but she's not saying anything yet. Moving on to bylaws, organizational and procedural bylaws, so we should have a resolution there.
Resolution number 2022-188, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper. Resolves that bylaw number 4631 being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw to govern the organization of the Town of the Paw and the committees thereof, and to regulate the proceedings and conduct of council and the committees thereof, and to repeal bylaw number 4600 and 4616 as amended, to be read a second time.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Second reading? Or third reading?
Third.
Sorry.
Resolution number 2022-189, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper, resolved that bylaw number 4631, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw to govern the organization of the Town of the Paw and the committees thereof, and to regulate the proceedings and conduct of council and the committees thereof, and to repeal bylaw number 4600 and 4616 be read a third time and be passed.
So I believe this is a recorded vote. So is there any further questions on this resolution? Seeing none. So myself, yes. Councillor Ward?
Yes.
Councillor Atkinson?
Aye.
Councillor Hopper?
Yes.
Councillor Manich? Yes. Councillor Allen? Aye. And Councillor Lane is absent, and I should have give some notice around that as well. Councillor Lane is tied up with a school commitment tonight. There's a school concert, and he did send his regrets. So seeing nobody against, so that's 6-0. Carried and approved. I'm going to fix this while we're on it. I'm just counting 7. Okay. Moving on to departments, Public Works and Maintenance. Do we have anything right now, Jen, on that? Nothing? Moving down to Planning and Development, 621, Lake Lock Extensions. Should have a resolution.
Resolution number 2022-190, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper, resolved that council authorize the Lake Lot extension to December 31st, 2023, in the amount of $3,000 to the owners of Lot 6 and Lot 17, Plan 55248, as per discussion during the in-camera portion of the November 28th, 2022 council meeting.
Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Oops, 5-1, and carried. Let's see where we at here. We're under payrolls and accounts.
Resolution number 2022-191, moved by myself, Councilor Allen. Resolved that council authorize the following accounts: pay period number 24 in the amount of $106,756.25. General checks number 29209 to 29258 to 29260 to 29277 in the amount of $197,825.84. EFTs in the amount of $75,477.04.
Questions? Councillor Hopper?
Questions for clarification. I didn't have to see the breakdown, just probably a simple answer for it. The 3 councillors that went to AMM, I'm just wondering, well, Councillor Ward, yours was $500 higher than Councillor Atkinson, and was it part of your honeymoon, or
No, it's mileage, I guess, or I don't
did you
know.
take a different route?
No, same mileage, same whatever.
I would just think they would be
Should
fairly
be the
similar.
same, actually, Jen.
Was there something else included in that, maybe? Just
I
asking,
don't know,
just
I didn't submit.
No.
maybe,
There's a, well,
The
let's-
only thing that would be different is I stayed in private residence
Correct.
and paid $50 a night. that's
should be
all.
less than.
should be a lot less.
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
But-
the
No.
hotels were already paid for.
yeah.
The hotels were prepaid by the town.
Yeah, so it doesn't come off, it's not a submitted expense, it's actually a covered expense. So you would get more money.
And Councillor
It'd be higher
Allen's
returns on
Allen's
it.
was more because he submitted a receipt for his iPad, for his computer.
Oh, that's what the difference is.
That's what the difference would be.
And the only other difference in mine would be the taxi fares.
Yep.
So just so as I'm clear, if the hotels are booked,
The town pays
the
for
town
hotels.
pays for them.
Correct.
And if councillor, or any of us choose not to take the hotel, then we get paid for
$50
private
a night.
residence.
$50 a night for
Yeah.
private.
Private accommodation.
Yeah, I would totally disagree with that, the $50. If you're going to do that, then pay for the hotel room that you're not going to take. That applies to myself or anybody else. Or if you know that you're going to the city,
No, the hotel room is not double though, so instead of paying the hotel room.
you said the hotel room was already paid for?
Yeah.
By the town. So
If you
nobody
stayed
got money
there.
back for the hotel.
No, that's my...
No, like I wouldn't pay
He
for the
never-
hotel room.
Yeah, just a clarification. So if I'm going to Winnipeg,
Yeah.
if I'm staying in a hotel, the town pays for the hotel.
Yes.
If I said I'm going to stay in a private resident, the town doesn't pay for the hotel, there's no expense, they give me $50.
Correct.
So it's not like you're paying twice.
So,
We're hearing that the hotel wasn't paid for.
No,
hotel wasn't paid for.
no.
The town paid for the hotel, but it's not on their check here.
No,
But you-
the hotel's paid and he's paid for private residence.
No, Bill never had a hotel room.
Okay, because you made it sound like the town had paid
Yeah.
for
Oh,
hotels, he
sorry.
just chose not to.
okay, that's,
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
my apologies.
That's not his
No.
understanding.
okay. So the difference would be,
Well, that'd be $150, 3 nights. And then the $100, I think it was, for taxi fares, so $250. And the rest would be mileage, is still the same, 17, or whatever it works out to kilometers at the new rate. And that's
yeah,
all.
I'm just asking because it was quite a bit
Quite a bit,
different. so
I know, I
was-
understand that, I totally understand that, but it shouldn't be like that amount difference.
Well, the expense report signed off by the administrator, so we should, if we've got questions on that, maybe we can just take this off and just check with the administration after to make sure
Yeah,
that
no,
everything's
it's-
coming up. Okay, any other questions on payrolls of account? Seeing none, so all in favor? Anybody opposed? None, so carried. Okay. Next one there, Bill.
Resolution number 2022-192, moved by Ms. Howe, seconded by Councillor Allen. Resolved that council authorize the following accounts. General check number 29259 in the amount of $385.72.
Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried.
Abstained.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Financials.
There's resolution number 2022-193, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Allen. Resolved that council accept the financial statement for the period ending October 31st, 2022, as prepared and submitted by L. Armstrong, Controller.
Laura provided a pretty good detailed report backing the financial statement up. Is there any further questions on that financial statement that gives you a little bit more details?
No.
Everybody's okay with it then?
Yeah.
So all in favor? Any opposed? None. Carried. Okay.
Resolution number 2022-194, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Allen. Whereas bylaw number 4556, being council indemnity bylaws, states the mayor and council would receive a yearly increase based on the consumer price index and passed by resolution each year. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorizes a 3.4% being the annual average as of November 29, 2022, consumer price index increase to the mayor and council indemnity for 2023.
Questions? Councillor Hopper?
Always have a question, it seems. Effective date?
I wasn't at the meeting, unfortunately. It says...
January 1st?
It has average of...
What, January 1st?
Probably.
November
Receive an
29th.
annual... Do you know what effective date it would be?
Whatever you guys want. When I put 2023, I just assumed January 1st, 2023.
January 1st.
2023.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's reviewed yearly, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? So we got carried. Okay. Where are we at?
6.3.5.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here. Yeah, 635, payment plan water bill.
Resolution number 2022195, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Ward. Resolved that council authorize a one-year interest-free payment plan for water account 010-001197-001 as per discussion during the in-camera portion of the November 28, 2022 council meeting.
Questions? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, request from the purchasing agents. 636.
Resolution number 2022196, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Ward. Resolved that council accept the bid from Lakeshore Landscaping in the amount of $26,000 plus GST for the supply, delivery, and stockpile 1,000 cubic yards of type 1 3-inch gravel.
So this was for just general stockpile, right?
Yeah, I think it's an annual.
Yeah, annual supply. Any questions regarding this resolution? If not, all in favor? Opposed, none, carried. Okay, 637, Wellness Center Point of Sale System.
Resolution number 2022-197, moved by Councilor Manager, seconded by Councilor Allen. Whereas the Wellness Center's point of sale system is severely outdated, therefore be it resolved that council authorize the allocation of $4,500 for the Wellness Center's equipment reserve from the Wellness Center Reserve Fund in order to cover the startup cost to purchase a new point of sale system through Perfect Mind software.
So looking at the issue sheet provided by the administration from the Wellness Center, the point of service system is severely outdated. It's not working very well, and they're saying from the spreadsheet that there's maybe loss of opportunity where we're missing unpaid accounts, either changing banking information or payment missed. And there's an estimate that that could have potentially leads up to thousands of dollars missed if not caught manually to just eliminate those errors. Also, it's an ease and use system for our staff over there, so they can actually get more benefit from it. So I don't know if anybody else has read the issue sheet. Is there any other questions that anybody would have?
Yeah, in his deliberation here, And he goes on to who up there. Is this through a local company here or through who?
Oh, I don't know who that would be. Perfect Mind.
It's
I would
cloud-based.
expect it's a external company.
And would it not be that they should present this to council, in front of council, or just do it by initiation?
Well, I believe they actually have the authority to actually do this without even coming to council. They're just giving us a heads up on what they're doing, so.
And they're asking to use the money from the reserve fund, and council has to approve using money from the reserve
Yeah.
fund.
But it's $4,500 startup fee, so is there an additional fee coming to that after?
No, it's an annual fee.
No,
of
that's an annual fee.
$4,500.
That's a subscription fee. It's all cloud-based, Counselor Ward.
Eh?
It's all cloud-based, so it won't need an additional server or all these other things, from what I'm understanding when I read it.
Yeah, it is cloud-based. So it is something that, when you think about it, there is some additional cost that's going to come to the community with this group. I don't believe it's we're locked into a long-term contract. It's, the first year's $4,500, every year after that's $4,500. But we have to look at the efficiency that we're potentially missing. So if we're losing, go ahead. Yeah, if we're losing some potential dollars on missed billing cycles, so that sort of kind of helps pay for the cost of the project, as well as is there time savings with our employees. Instead of having them tied up doing this, can they be doing other value-added activities? Jen?
In speaking with the recreation director, he advised that one missed account a month would be a minimum of $4,260 loss in revenue. So that almost covers.
Yeah.
This program will also provide booking capabilities. They've lost money on accidental double bookings at both the pool and the wellness center. The software will prevent this from happening. They'll double book the pool. Well, now only one person gets it because they double booked, so you've lost out on another rental, which is better customer service. Also, this program will allow them to do refunds instead of all the checks coming here, having payables cut the checks. They have to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks for the checks to be returned.
Yeah, and I know when using it, and maybe Councillor Manich has seen this now in his new career here, but when I travel to the city to book ice, it's all done online. You don't have to call the rec director. The slots are there. You pick them, you pay for it on your credit card, you get the slot, you show up, and it's built
The program
correctly.
will offer also 5 types of different kind of registering, course booking, private booking, drop-in registrations. It's got the ability to look for all instructors to book private view bookings so they can look at them side by side. It's also for facility bookings. A website and online registration will be available. It includes extra features such as the ability to associate multiple memberships per client, allows for program levels rankings, automated task creation that is driven by business workflow rules, and it supports refunds, credits, and cancellations.
So the other one didn't do anything.
Yeah, more or less. Well, you paid $150.
It
It's a good
also
price.
provides automated marketing features, so they can put in emails, and there'll be emails that are just automatically pushed out to clients.
Councillor Hummer?
What's our yearly allotment to the reserve fund for that account?
I have to check with Laura. That account currently has $33,000 in
And this qualifies for withdrawal?
it. Correct. It's an equipment replacement fund.
It's not really equipment, is it?
Because it's that scanner and stuff at the...
Oh, it's
stuff like that.
Office equipment
Okay.
could be considered.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Anybody opposed? No? Good. Perfect. Good discussion. Now, the most important part of our resolutions today. One of the most important.
Resolution number 2022-198, moved by Councilor Manich, seconded by Councilor Allen. Resolved that council appoint Rafia Islam as the youth member of council for a 1-year term commencing December 14th, 2022, in accordance with section 81(1) of the Municipal Act.
I'm sure we have lots of questions on this one. Councillor Hopper?
How were you selected? Congratulations for being selected.
Mr. Lane actually asked me if I was interested in the position, and I was, so.
And he gave you his chair.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I'm sure you'll do well, and a little over 3 years, if you're still in the community and you've graduated, maybe find a full-time chair for you. So all the best to you.
Yes, we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say and working with you for sure. Any other questions?
And no question is a silly question.
No.
Yeah.
And especially in high school, you're closer to the youth than we are, and if there's youth issues in town, that's you're their voice. Bring them forward. Okay.
As Councillor Hopper said, you've heard a few of his questions tonight, so. Okay, so with that, we'll call a question. All in favor? Perfect. None against? And here we go. Perfect. Okay, so we are now at personnel. There's nothing. We are now moving into unfinished business, boards and committees. Museum board, anything going on there?
Yeah, we met last night. A couple of board members are going to be getting reappointed for some 2-year terms, so looking forward to us soon. And we had a few questions about financials because there's a change in how they're going to be submitted to the meeting. So I'm just trying to get clear on that, but otherwise business as usual.
Good, excellent. Councillor Hopper.
I got to find out when the meetings are.
So for your information, I did meet with Dan Quinnell today on a different note on the chamber. He did say that they are aware that you're the appointee and that they will be having their meeting in early January. We'll be getting in touch with you.
Perfect. Thank you.
CDC, we did have a meeting the last week, very well attended. We went through sort of some of the presentation that we've got done here today, reconfirmed some of our attendance, and there was really, I guess everything will really be covered in Jackie's presentation in the next few minutes here. Destination marketing, Councillor Ward.
They're bouncing around at date, 13th to 15th to 19th, and I think they've settled on December 19th for a meeting.
December 19th.
Yeah.
Cedar Lake?
We meet the 20th and the 21st of next week.
Recycling board? Nothing. Library board, Councillor Lane's sent his regrets. Scan, there's been nothing planned. I would expect we'll probably see something in January on that. Kelsey Planning District?
Nothing to date.
Nothing to date. Kelsey School Division Committee?
I met with Graham last week. It was an official meeting. We saw each other, and we will need to schedule a meeting for January to review the agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And I do have, for Councillor Manish, I do have a lot of information on that Kelsey School Division, and how that agreement was, so if you guys want to sit down sometime, I can go through it with you guys.
In saying that, I know Kelsey and Sam have a few items they'd like to discuss before we move on.
Yeah.
With regards to that agreement.
Perfect. Okay, Jackie, you're up.
takes a while to get brighter.
Oh,
so-
okay, she's saying
Yeah.
wanted to community development declaration, that's run by our board.
Okay. Can you guys see that, or should we turn on the light or anything?
Oh, it's good.
Okay. All right, so there's a couple new faces to council, so I just wanted to kind of review what the,
One question first.
Yeah.
Jen,
Yep.
would it make sense to turn that camera towards that screen so that people can see that? Just thought about that just now, I don't know if we can.
What are we doing with,
The city hall.
Probably locked.
Just turn the knob on the right side and then double stick on it.
Yeah, handle, yeah, go open it. That thing, yeah. There. Does it show up? Yeah.
I don't have a way to pull up the cameras.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanted to provide an annual report to council for the CDC. Typically what we've done in the last couple of years is provide a quarterly report and then an annual just to summarize everything that's been going on. So for the people who are new to council, I just wanted to review on the CDC's purpose. So we are an independent agency free of political influence, and we provide economic and community development that benefits the area. We also seize opportunities for the communities that certain groups or organizations might not be able to take advantage of. And this is all for the betterment of the community as a whole. Our mandate is to be a catalyst for the attraction of new investment in the industry to the region, while supporting existing industries and enterprises. These are our main 5 pillars that the CDC operates underneath. They are based off of this dashboard that was created through the 2022 framework and strategic plan. 2022 and 2023. Basically, the 5 pillars are listed there, and we have tasks underneath each of those pillars to guide us through the next couple of years in our main activities.
I was just thinking, Jackie, would it be beneficial maybe to send all of council that document again?
For sure. I
And
can
then-
send the entire
Yeah.
strategy as well as just like the framework and the dashboard. The dashboard is kind of the takeaway of the document,
Yeah.
so we'll send both of those. All right. So now I'll just go through a couple of the programs that we have been running over the past couple of years. The main one that we've been doing is the down payment program. This is mainly funding from Manitoba Housing. We ran it since 2020. We have been successful in receiving 2 rounds of funding, totaling $317,000. Essentially what the program does is it gives low to medium income families enough money for a down payment and a portion towards closing costs. We've placed 14 families to date and 5 spots remain, and we have this funding until March 2024. So if you have anyone in mind, send them my way and we can see if they're eligible.
So what is the level of annual income, household income and stuff?
It's $84,600 for an annual household income. You have to have at least 1 dependent. You have to be a first-time home buyer, which only means you can't have owned property in the last 5 years. But it does include undeveloped land as well. So you have to be a first-time title owner, but within the last 5 years.
Yeah, so you can't own a lot somewhere and then apply for this program.
Right.
If you own anything for 5 years.
Yeah. And a unique thing with this second round of funding is our relationship with Best Buy Homes. So we've partnered with them on the second round of funding, which allows the eligible family, if they're accepted into the program, they can either purchase a brand new house through Best Buy Homes or an existing home in the current market. Best Buy is also currently looking at the PAW to develop further housing. They are a modular home developer, and we're currently just in discussions with potential land, servicing that whole thing to see if they can put up a community of sorts. Discover the PAW OCN is a partnership that was created out of the CDC as well in conjunction with OCN and the RM. So this tri-community partnership, it was formed in 2020 to facilitate the Place brand that was developed prior to that. We work on, basically we're the destination marketing organization for the tri-community, and this project is about a $22,000 annual budget, which is split evenly between the 3 communities.
And our annual commitment?
It's about $3,000, yeah. So one of the projects that is under our framework for the next couple of years, and that we're currently working on right now, is a welcome package. There are 2 parts to this welcome package. The first part is more development focused, so looking at commercial developers and residential developers, creating some sort of it's an expanded community profile to have all the quick facts and further information for these developers if they are interested in our community. And we give them this packet, they know everything about us, and it also works with solicitation and trying to attract further investment. The second part of that is targeted towards immigration and talent attraction. So this works with the local immigration office as well as local industry to try and see what we can develop in the community to make new hires more attracted to our community, and then also to help them once they are here.
It was an interesting stat up there that when we showed this to the CDC board, the median age of 34 is a bit surprising. That's a very young.
Very young, yeah. Another project that we're currently working on is the housing needs assessment. So this was completed, there was a housing needs assessment or a housing audit completed back in 2017, I believe. This is kind of a refreshed, not exactly the same project, but we're using some of that information to make sure we have everything included. We're looking at the immediate and future housing supply for multiple markets and creating approaches to make the town a more development-friendly community. The main thing that's going to come out of this assessment is what kind of, what model of housing project would best work for the community. So if it's a housing co-op, if we need to do anything, we're looking at all the different options in different communities to see what we can do to create housing in the short term, because we know we need it and we need it quick. Foreign direct investment. So this is part of our strategy again, part of our 2-year strategy, I should say. So this project specifically is looking at the Port of Churchill and how to position PAW as a transportation hub in northern Manitoba. So it's working with the Gateway Keewatin Corridor Group and multiple other partners to try and bring everybody together in the same room and figure out how we can best capitalize on the Port of Churchill when it's becoming more and more present in Manitoba and the rest of the country. Other projects that are related to the town of the Paw as well. We are working on an electric vehicle charging station. This has been in works since about 2020. There's been a few grant applications that have been submitted. Whether or not we did a couple of different renditions. So the current one has been approved, but there are some stipulations that are happening with NRCan. We're working closely with EcoWest to get those stipulations either met or see what we need to do. Overall, it's a $20,000 commitment from the town of the Paw, but the whole project is about $110,000. So the grant funding from NRCan covers that. We have a couple private donations as well. Another grant that was arranged through EcoWest provided additional funding as well. So leveraging different sources of funding to try and get a reduced cost for the town.
What is a charging station worth of $110,000?
Yes, yeah, it's a charging station plus the installation is the $110,000.
And that's a rapid charger, so that would be for Tesla and
Yeah, like different models, but the rapid part is just the quickest charge. So that's, yeah, it's a level 3 charger that would be the quickest, yeah.
Have the local dealerships shown any interest in participating?
Yes, so they actually are kind of going at it their own way. I think Twin already has one. Even local hotels are looking at getting the level 2 charging stations for overnight guests. I was approached by local business to complete one of the grant applications. So I think, I don't know if NRCan is offering any more funding right now, but they have pretty well every year.
But yeah, there's local businesses for sure that are looking into it. And then the Clean Fuels Fund. So that is quite recent. It's a $0 commitment from the town of The Paw. And this application was submitted, it's about a month ago, I guess now. It basically provides a biodiversity rating. And if we get a good rating, it can generate development leads. The project will not continue to be completed if we aren't set to get a good rating, so a poor rating wouldn't be released. And basically it's looking at the biomass we have in our region, how to best use that to create a clean fuel of sorts. Yeah. Some policy work, trying to research special service levies and development incentives, looking at lots of different communities and their development incentives. I will be coming forward with some recommendations, kind of providing a range of incentives, whether it's a small, medium, or large one, ranging from least attractive to most attractive in terms of the developer, and tying that into a strategy of our infrastructure readiness. So tying that in with housing specifically, trying to look at infill versus new lots. Stuff that's kind of happening in the background. The MMF development is still moving forward. We provide some grant writing assistance to some assistance to community groups to write applications to further leverage funding into the community. Constantly reaching out to other communities to try and learn their best practices, and networking to potentially get more resources allocated to the north and to try to get our name out there a little bit more. Up next, as you guys are approaching your strategic planning, we will be looking for the priorities that the town of The Paw and the RM wants to put forward, and continue working on the projects that we have on the go right now.
Just back up one slide on your grant writing.
Yes.
There's been talk about the town in the past. We've had grant writers looking at maybe in the future doing that. Would you do that for the town on a percentage collected basis?
So I help writing grants with the town already, just as it brings funding to the town. I would still support a new grant writer position, just because it is kind of it can be a pretty big job when the grants are there.
Yeah, just to jump in on that, so that's further on our agenda tonight, Councillor Hopper, I believe we threw that on there for discussion as well. And I think this is the discussion we'll have at budget time as well about adding that second position, and within the CDC about having a responsibility on the grant writing management as well. So working with development, but also that whole grant writing position and how we cover off those requirements.
All right. Are there any other questions?
No.
I have a question. I was just curious about the Discover the Paw OCN, because I think it's really amazing, and I think the promotion I've seen is really, really effective.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you guys have someone, or is that kind of our acting public relations for the town as well as marketing?
So the Discover the Paw OCN it's just the tourism component of it. So there's a secondary person that we've contracted out to provide all that marketing, and it's just for the tourism for the tri-community.
Okay,
so
it's more marketing, less public relations?
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Excellent. Any other questions for Jackie? Great job, Jackie. Appreciate the annual update and more good work to come in the future, I'm sure.
You bet. All right.
Here. So just under, there's no questions, just under correspondence. So a couple of welcoming letters from the Minister of Public Relations, MMF, so it's for more general information, saying welcome to council. There is the Niso Capolino Forest Management Corporation Sustainable Forest Committee request, and as I mentioned to Jen, that I wouldn't mind sitting on that. I have some experience with Niso Capolino, So I wouldn't mind sitting on that sustainable forest. And the mayor did sit on that before, so if there's no issues with that, we'll bring a resolution the next meeting or whatever. I know somebody else wants to do it as well, that's fine too. Okay, nothing else with that. Again, under general information, so crime stats report that are out, they're on our website, they'll be in this package, but just for the general public here, it says total traffic violations in October were 98, total criminal code other is 148, total criminal code overall was 238, total persons 80, and 147 on total property crime. And then there's another slide that breaks it down. What we've asked, what we're going to ask the RCP to do though is provide us some comparison, because just getting a snapshot slide of a month doesn't really tell you anything, because you don't really know, there's no comparative. So it would be good to see either a trend and maybe previous months in the year, so we can kind of see which way the crime reporting is going. So, Councillor Allen?
I had briefly emailed you about this yesterday, but I'd also like to see if we can have a location where something like this is going on.
Sure.
Because I knew where our
Yeah.
spots are. I can kind of know what it is to see it.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. So we can kind of get some more details from Staff Sergeant Lemieux on this. He always provides us this, and he does come and provide us an update once in a while in person as well. So, but more just to let our public know that these slides are in the package and they're on the website. Citizens period. We have some more citizens here, but anybody here to talk? Anybody need to say anything? No? Okay. We're moving over to committee of the whole, so I guess somebody has to move us there. Somebody want to do that? Terry or Terry? Resolve
Resolve that we do now move ourselves in committee of the whole.
Oh, here it is.
Thanks, Trent, for Councillor Allen. I didn't realize that I've never did that before. I never tapped on that.
You know why? Because in the last 4 years, we didn't do that.
I was thinking like we've never did that before. Why are we doing it now?
Well, we used to go to a different room though, so we kind of did it. When we did it, and then we started in another room, so. Okay, so snow removal, Manitoba Infrastructure, our fine friend here that's been doing such a great job with the key group of the community over the last.
Oh my goodness! What an introduction!
Yeah.
I did that off camera, so there's no record of that.
So, Mr. Sam, what do you got for us tonight?
Snow removal agreement from Manitoba Highways. We get a new agreement with them every single year. This year they are proposing $47,380. Highways has put in an application to the province for a 3% increase, which is not reflected in the agreement. They're anticipating that it gets passed, and when it does, they will add that to that 47,000 number as well.
Is 3% enough though? I mean, with inflation sitting at 7 point something, our costs are actually going to go up more than 3%. Should we be asking for more than 3%?
That's across the province number, so it's not just the north or the PAW that's getting.
Yeah.
So that request would have to go to Treasury. I think you would be probably better suited to make that request than
I guess I'm asking
myself, probably. Yeah,
as much as the government says it's 3%, is there any responsibility, or do we have any ability to say, hey, well, our cost of operating that equipment has gone up more than 3%?
Something that maybe could have been brought up at AMM if it wasn't.
Actually, we met with them last week,
Yep,
and
last week.
after the meeting was over, it clicked in. We should have asked.
Well, we didn't talk about the agreement there, though. That's
No, we did.
No, I know, but we weren't talking about specific.
About numbers, and that we had spoke to that the agreement doesn't necessarily work in our favor, and we would like it to. And they suggested that if we had something that we were looking for, to let them know.
So we'll send a request then, I guess. I mean, it's not that we're going to say no, because, but we should, I guess, you only get what you settle for.
I believe we've asked before, and it was a polite no last time. Yeah, it's out of their hands, especially at the local level, and even at the regional level, because it would have to go to Treasury for that approval, I believe, so.
Something to earmark for next year for
Yeah.
AMM?
Yeah, for sure, that's a
Like,
good point.
I think most of the communities get snow. Probably all have an agreement of some sort.
Yeah.
We also spoke to how the snow is being removed and how it possibly made that, like, the removal may not be in our favor to have it go to the sidewalks as opposed to the center of the road, whether or not that's something that engineering would prefer to have it all put in the center and then it's removed from there rather than the sidewalks, because other communities have it all pushed to the center, then you don't have to remove it from the sidewalks. Now, whether or not our roads, and we get a lot more snow than in other communities, whether or not that's something that's feasible for us, I don't.
It might cut down on jaywalking or make it more dangerous, so we'd have to sort of look at that. And there's a few approaches that we'd cross the highway that we'd have to take into consideration. I don't think the Westcana would like it all the way across the way, but I think it's something interesting to definitely look at, how we do snow removal in general, and I think that's probably another topic that's coming up, and different ways we can tackle that. But definitely good discussion for that, definitely.
I think Mayor Hopper came up, or Councilor Hopper came up with that, something last meeting about returning back to plowing the sidewalks in front of the businesses.
Yeah, are we going to cover that? Is this
It's going to be on the next topic.
Sure.
So we're dealing right now with the agreement.
Okay.
Is everybody okay as outlined? Councilor Al?
Recess. I guess a question for clarification on this agreement. So it's got the dollar amount there, the 47 and change, but then talks about invoicing that and building infrastructure. So why would we invoice them if we know what the dollar amount is? Is there actually some variable to what we invoice?
No, it's that exact dollar figure. We just can't invoice them until the end of the season. I think it's probably just a process on their end that has to be done that way. And previously it was a weighted average, so perhaps the agreement is still worded in such a manner as the previous wording was based on centimeters of snowfall, which was a very cumbersome, process for the town to go on the specific website as detailed by Manitoba Highways that we had to go to calculate how many centimeters of snow we had and then prove it to them and then send them all the paperwork. So they've just done a weighted average. So this number, the increase is based on your last 5 years of snowfall weighted average is how it was explained to me.
Sam, when you look at the cost of removing that snow versus what we were paid, are we at least even?
So the last year we had a significant amount of snowfall last year and also at the beginning of this season. So we are likely going to, if we have a margin this year, it would be negligible. Going into this before the snowfall, we'd already spent a little over $27,000 on the highway snow removal. And granted, we are just finishing the downtown, so that's not even been captured yet. And we still have 3rd Street to do as well, and a few other little highway chunks to do. So
do we run a deficit with that?
we haven't previously, no, not in the last few years. But volumes of snow would be a huge dictating factor on
Is
that.
there a process in place that if we had a crazy year, like if we get another 2 or 3 snow dumps like we had at the beginning of the year, is there a process for us to submit additional based on it's sort of out of scope?
I don't believe so. The way it was explained to me is that in several years from now, we'll see an increase based on the weighted average of the last 5 years. So like we will see an increase in the dollar figure, but it won't be for several years out as the weighted average continues to change, if that makes sense. It's sort of prorated, I guess.
So what you're saying is that we could operate at a loss?
I don't know if I said that exactly, but
Well, you're saying it's going to be negligible, like.
yeah, like I feel like based on the numbers and the calculations for this year, our projection for this season as we're end of year, we should still be okay with the 46 and change from the last contract. The last number I saw was 27 and change that we've spent this calendar year on the snow before this last one, so I don't suspect we'll be over the 40.
So you got $20,000 left for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the month.
Oh, the rest of the month. Yeah.
So I guess, as Councillor Hopper mentioned, maybe having some sort of mechanism to deal with the abnormal Because it's really not right that we're carrying all the risks in the business, that if it snows for 6 extra months sort of thing, that we're getting, there should be some outside of norm, right? I mean, because we're dealing with the norm, right? It's not like they were going to have a whole winter with no snow.
One could hope, I guess.
Good, any other questions for Sam?
So if this agreement didn't exist, who's responsible for the snowplane?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I reached out to Manitoba Highways to kind of touch base with something to that effect. They would have to work with local contractors and their own equipment in order to do it. I'm sure everyone's aware, Manitoba Highways in general is having staffing issues, especially in the north region. And their priority in that case would be the highway, just because of the level of safety and the danger that would be associated with having poor conditions on the highway. So the level of service may be affected. They didn't say those exact words, but I was sort of reading between the lines. The level of service may be affected as they take care of the more dangerous situations on the highway.
And we would get the phone calls.
Inundated with the phone calls, yes, that's correct.
Any other questions? Any questions? Questions from you? No?
So just to clarify, the direction is some sort of letter, send a draft?
Yeah,
of the change?
we'll draft something up to just send them, to kind of put them on notice. I know it's not going to change much. And we'll take Councillor Hopper's, recommendation that next year at A&M, or next time we get an opportunity to speak with the minister, we sort of plant these seeds on how do we deal with the abnormal stuff, and is it really fair that it's, costs are going up faster than your increases, and how do we justify that to our ratepayers?
Absolutely, yeah.
In addition to that, they had also said to us that after we met council as a whole, to get back to them as well. So, yeah, we have all the contact information.
Excellent.
Does it include cleaning the sidewalks too, or is it just the street?
It's all part and parcel, because right now the businesses are pushing it to the boulevard. Some of them are taking it away because they can't wait for us, or they want to provide a higher level of service than we are currently providing. So it's just centimeters of snow, period. So if it ends up on the boulevard in one fashion or another, to highways, it's sort of, I guess, irrelevant, I guess. So we do the sidewalk when we do everything all at the same time, when we do the downtown as well as all of the downtown.
This agreement will be something liability as well?
Yes. Yes, if we injure somebody during the process, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a pedestrian, anything of that nature, it would be our liability on that front. Or are you asking the snowbanks that are created during the clearing?
If somebody slips and falls on the sidewalk, for example,
There is a case, I think, going through the court system that I read. Sorry, it kind of escapes me the exact nature, but it was, I believe it was in British Columbia, where the city was plowing the downtown, creating parking availability for the businesses, but they had ridges and snowbanks on the edge of the sidewalk, and someone tripped and fell and hurt themselves badly, and they were suing the municipality, and it was working its way through the court systems. Caught the attention of other larger urban centers, because that's not a liability that they want to have, because the weather is sort of out of control. So they were some big lawyers lining up behind that community to help them fight that in court. I don't know if there's been an outcome to that or not, but it's worth watching to see how that plays out.
Everybody good?
Yeah, we're fortunate we've got more than one highway going through town to help us offset some of the costs.
Yeah, definitely, and the sanding and
really,
yeah. Just gotta get some more guys hired for them, I guess.
Thank you very much for that, Sam. We'll move on to the next.
So a resolution come
Resolution come forward on that. So just to move into, so I did put in an issue sheet just for our friends at home here that are watching. So, one of the challenges that I've heard over the last few months is really around communication of snow removal plans for the PAW, and that we have a lot of people that may be thinking that it should be done one way or the other, and there's real rationale whether people agree with it or not on why the process is the way it is. And so one of the things that I was suggesting is that how do we ramp up our communication around snow removal, streets, and when it's happening, what's happening when.
and what emergency snow removal looks like. And then I mentioned to Jen that if we could put the bylaws on here. So I'm just going to quickly skip through this. Will you guys give me a few minutes and then we can get some discussion going. So I won't go through the entire thing, but when I look at the bylaws, I'm just going to go down to the snow spot. And my apologies, is I left my notes at home. But where it says snow, give me one sec. One second, I just gotta find it
The parking regulations pertaining to?
Yeah, no, I'm just looking for it. I don't know where I've seen that.
This business owner sidewalk.
It's page 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'll find it. Yeah. Yeah, so it says the town will, well, a couple things. The town is required to inspect areas to determine what's required of snow removal of town. So that would be on yourself, right, Sam?
There's been maps that have been created in terms of the prioritization of the streets.
So I'm going to get to that. So there is maps. So it says the town will have snow removed from areas not cleared by owners or occupied businesses in front of the adjacent and vacant lots as time permits. And the town will maintain a record of removal carried out, snow removal carried out, specified time, addresses, number of hours required to complete. So if the town does that, they're recording, if they're taking snow away as part of our procedures right now, that the business owners are required to, or somebody in town is required to maintain their snow. And if the town takes care of that, we're recording that and documenting that somewhere?
There hasn't been too many cases that I can recall where we're removing it for anybody in particular, unless it's been deemed a safety hazard. The areas of greatest concern is normally in the downtown area. And based on the volume of snowfall, we'd have to determine what would be an appropriate amount of time to provide someone in order to handle that situation. So I'm not sure if that's exactly your question.
Okay. And then, so then when it comes to the Public Works snow removal resolution, that Public Works 315, it says the goal of snow removal is to maintain the town's roadways and sidewalks so as to reduce hazards of icy conditions for motorists and pedestrians, minimize economic loss to the community and the industries resulting from unsatisfactory winter driving conditions, and facilitate the handling of emergencies for police, fire, and ambulance, etc. And then it gives the priority streets, which says includes all streets around hospitals, which are priority 1, streets, hospitals, emergency services, and civic center. And priority 2 are like all avenues, residential streets, and sidewalks. And priority 3 are all other traffic areas. So there's a map that identifies which are the priorities.
Yeah.
So is it possible that we could get that map up so that people understand where the priorities are? So when we're saying that there's a priority listing, that this is the listing?
Some are signed as well, snow removal routes, at least they used to be.
Yeah, but it says between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., but we actually remove snow during the day.
So the ones downtown, the 2 to 6 is more just for highways to have the ability to get through because right, so that it doesn't create those, like you've seen some winters where someone's parked there, they go around and that ridge becomes a permanent fixture of the downtown for...
Yeah, no. And then when I look at that priority street, one of the things that came up that I thought is, wouldn't the around the clinic, the downtown clinic and the dental offices and like somewhere our people have more accessibility issues, like for our seniors' homes and stuff like that, be a higher priority, or is it?
Well, the highway for sure is a high priority because highways is out doing it all the time. So.
No, I'm talking about the banks and stuff though, like the snow banks, because that's the problem. It's not that the road is that the concerns that I hear is that they just can't get into the buildings because they get dropped off, but they can't get, how do you get over the snowbank? And when I talk about, because this says, the goal of snow removal, so this policy is on snow removal, or is it on street cleaning only?
I was under the impression it was for street clearing.
Yeah, so see, this is where I was confused as well, because it says snow removal, so when I look at that, I think, well, this is a priority, because I'm also, like, I went to El Paso School, and I've got the same feedback there. If you go on, what street that is, 6th or something, no, not 6th.
8th and 9th. 8th and 9th. 8th would be the front, and, yeah.
8th Street there, like, in front of that, like, there's almost impossible to get into the school, so the kids are, and that's a main drop-off center for daycare and the little ones, right?
Yeah.
So again, I think that...
Just want to point out, point number 2 says minimize economic losses to the community
Yeah.
and industry resulting from unsatisfactory winter driving conditions. So to me, that is what someone's saying. The roads themselves need to be cleared. Nothing saying that the sidewalks really need to be, even though it mentioned sidewalks above. The main thing is, can they commute around town?
Yeah.
The removal is going to have a much bigger delay than getting the streets so people get around.
Yeah,
I go all past the school and we didn't drop off the bus, so we asked almost 10 days.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm not trying to pick apart this apart. I do believe that there's some updates on this, and especially around communication and how we do this. As I mentioned to you, Sam, maybe there's an opportunity for a bit of a cycle time reduction type of discussion on there to see if we can find a way of doing this better. And at the same time, if our citizens believe that this is an important service that they want, and it's going to require us to either hire more people, get more equipment, do something differently, then we have to put that out there and make sure that everybody understands what that impact is, because, you know, and sometimes it's a little bit unusual on what we're doing here. So the other part of that, when I look at this procedure, so it says the goal of snow removal, this is the other policy, so one was 315 and one has a lot more.
One's a policy, one's a procedure.
Yeah, procedure, right. This is the policy code, and this is the policy code, whatever it is. Anyways, it says the following is the snow removal policy that will normally be maintained in town. Snow removal will start when vehicles start having trouble with snow, 4 inches of snow. Snow will be pushed to the curb area onto the town's boulevards. Town parking lots will be cleared as priority 1 streets have been opened. No person's allowed to lay extension cords out. The town of the PAW will allow contractors to access the snow dump. Contractors have to behave out there, sort of thing, and make sure they don't make a mess. We're not allowed to take snow and dump it on town property if you're from a private citizen. We provide parking on all major streets during snow removal, which you guys put out all the signs and stuff. Then there's a safety, keep back 50 feet. Don't blow snow into the town street or adjacent town boulevards. But then it also says right here, business shall remove and haul their piles of snow to a designated snow dump. All piles of snow must remain on private property. So is that saying that the downtown businesses, when they are clearing their sidewalks, they need to take that away themselves so they can't pile it up there?
That would be your property, right?
That's what it states. They're not allowed to put it on the boulevard or the street. This whole issue about the downtown sidewalks, years ago, not that many years ago, the downtown sidewalks were plowed. I don't know if it was back in 2018, there were some changes made. Now they don't get plowed. Part of the policy on bylaw 4576 are talking about if something is deemed to be a nuisance. Well, I think 4 feet of snow along the sidewalk along the Uptown Mall is a bit of a nuisance. When you see somebody going into the mall, we're trying to encourage, the CDC is trying to encourage people to come to the community, businesses to operate successfully. You can't do it if people can't come in your door.
Yep.
I suggested on our inaugural meeting that brought this up. It's 6 weeks now, and we haven't done anything on it. Last time I was expecting to come tonight and say, what was the cost going to be for you to have the downtown sidewalks plowed? You maybe have that. To me, I would say it's more of a priority to do the downtown sidewalks than the walking path. Last week, the plow was down Gordon Avenue, down by the Laverandy, the Palm Motel, plowing along. Somebody said, well, that's part of the walking path. Well, there's only, I think, maybe one resident down there. I don't think many people in town would complain if the sidewalk on Bell Avenue didn't get cleaned right away and the downtown businesses got their sidewalks plowed. Just readjusting the schedule, that's not going to cost anything. It's not going to cost you any more. At least I don't see how it would cost more. Long term, I'd like to do both, but you don't want people walking along 3rd Street. You've done a great job there. You've done the sidewalk. There's lots of residents, they need the sidewalk. That's probably one of your priorities. But to me, businesses, they're not supposed to put it on the road. Well, they can't put it inside. They can't afford to get it hauled away. First of all, hard time finding a contractor who's going to come and just do one business and then somebody else do another one. I'd say that's wishful thinking. Sidewalks should be done. You're just plowing it along. People need to access the downtown, not just the clinic. The post office is doing a good job. We have some businesses that are closed, so you're going to go along on 2 feet. You're down to you come to the closed one, you're going up. I've seen people trying to navigate along Edwards Avenue there on both sides of the street, and one area is clean. Some businesses do a good job. Before, sidewalk plowed, come along plowed, you still have to make the opening onto the street. People expect that. But to me, I can't see any rational or reasonable reason why the downtown sidewalks aren't cleared for the businesses for a whole realm of reasons, not just financial, safety. A business cleans a sidewalk, somebody slips. Business cleaned that. Now, is that business liable? If they are, guaranteed they're not going to clean the sidewalk. Are they liable if they don't clean it? Because in our bylaw it says they're responsible. Are we moving away from that? Like, I don't know, to me...
I don't disagree with you, Councillor. I think that that's something that we should be doing with regards to plowing the sidewalks downtown. But I can tell you from the number of phone calls and the messages I got, the sidewalks are important as well. But second, the other part that's important is to be able to access the sidewalk from the street. Mm-hmm. And this is where I think it becomes a little bit of a bigger issue, is that this whole snow removal and how do we can plow the sidewalk, but if that person is not going to dig a path through because the sidewalk plow is going to go through, it's going to push snow to the side, mm-hmm. It's going to put a big ridge there, and the next complaint we get, or what I've been receiving, is that, well, I can't get through here. Why can't the guy drop his plow down? He's got a wing, he can't do that. And so I do agree with Councillor Hopper. I think we should do our sidewalks downtown and just rip through that, because, as you said, we're paying the guy anyways, and if some other area doesn't get a sidewalk done as quick as possible.
Just one point on it's not going to cost us any extra. Probably fairly accurate. Like overall, I have some costing that I've kind of prepared for that. In speaking with our operators, that would be something that would have to take place early morning, just because the amount of parked vehicles. So it would be an overtime. It would be so there would be some additional costs there. The amount of calls we get about the walking path not being done is also higher than one would think. But I do agree. Like I'm not opposed to doing anything for the downtown businesses. I don't want that to come across. I'm just following. What our policy states.
And I think too, that's why I kind of wanted to read through the policy and point out Councillor Manich has maybe got more experience with it, so but that's not how I would read that, because that's not what it says. And when it says priorities, what is the priority? Because you've told me in the past that schools are priorities when I was on the KSD and all that, but how does everybody else know? Because how do they know that you've got to do the roads before you can do the downtown, because you have to route traffic through that area, because you can't route semi-trailers down Edwards and Gordon if you got no place for them to go, if you're blocking the road. Right?
Yeah, our considerations for how we did it was just a strategic idea in terms of detouring all the traffic. Now, the semi-trailers we try to let through depending on our flag person availability, because we technically can't close the highway without permission from...
But I think that's why I think it goes back to the communication part and maybe looking at our policy and the communication that we put out there so people understand what that is. And as well as the sidewalks, if that's something that we can start doing, then I would recommend, unless there's some constraint from you and your department, Sam, I would like to see...
Well, we definitely would need a commit. Sorry, we're going to...
Just a question.
Yeah, please.
Is there an issue with the priorities where you have it set up for the streets in town? Have you had issues?
Certain people feel that their back lane should be way higher prioritized. There's been some
that's the norm.
Yeah, but nothing. I mean, the school has raised some concerns around Opaskwa. We took a timeout from the downtown to jump over and help them a little bit best we could. I was told traffic services actually stepped in and helped them kind of keep people moving along, so they weren't plugging up the area, which was nice to see. But there is definitely some concern about how, I would say that's a fair comment, yeah. There's some concern of how we prioritize, yeah.
Yeah, there has, and I have received a few as well and passed them on to Sam.
Yeah. There was anger when we were doing La Rose, and then when you explained to most people understood, like after we explained it, but it still didn't satisfy.
And you won't. But
yeah, so bit of an uphill battle with snow.
We're not going to please everybody.
No, absolutely.
And that's where we're always going to fight, because you mentioned cleaning sidewalks downtown. Well, someone like Margaret Commodore, who does a beautiful job on it, she'll clean her sidewalk first thing in the morning, snowplow comes by and pushes all the funky, because no, she's going to say, why did you do this? So again, if we follow what the procedure says, everybody is responsible for in front of their businesses, and that's not their property. So technically, they're just making sure that you can attend their businesses. Then when the town can finally get there and clean the sidewalks, if you want people at your business, you're going to clear that cut, you're going to clear that path.
And the policy is not clear though, Councillor. Well, we can disagree on that, but that's fine. But all I'm saying is that we can also communicate out there to our citizens, because I can tell them about this, and I don't know how many phone calls you've gotten, but I can tell them about the policies and I can tell them about the rationale, but I can't tell them where's the priority street. What is that a priority? Where's that map? What does that mean to me? Like, what's a level 1 street? And all I'm saying is, we've done a good job. I think Sam's been putting out updates. When we're going through the snow clearing stuff, just put that updates out there so people see us that we're doing it, and that's fine. And maybe this is good enough, but if we think that there should be more, then that's kind of our responsibility.
I just have a question in terms of the sidewalk cleaner going down the street. So what is the spray out? Like, how far would it go? Would the sidewalk cleaner be cleaning off the sidewalk and then the snow plow coming and putting it right back? Like, how far does that spray out?
So it depends if they're using the blower or not. And that was another thing the operators raised in terms of if we're going to take on the downtown, we have to stay on top of it and do it all the time. Because if you let it build up, then the amount of time it takes gets significantly more, and then you have to use the blower. So it depends if we're using what type of blade we're using on it, or if we're using the snowblower attachment. So the snowblower attachment can be ramped up to shoot quite a distance away, but the blade will just sort of kind of push it to the side. So they can angle the blade to kind of try to push it to one side. And when we start getting large volumes of snow, like certain streets, the property, like the fence line is very close to the sidewalk. And so every year we get inundated. Well, you guys push snow up against my fence. My fence is damaged. Now you guys owe me money because you guys broke my fence, even though it's dilapidated to begin with. But so
the question is more so for downtown.
Yeah.
Like just for the downtown, in front of the businesses. If we're spraying it out, is the snowplow just going to be bringing it right back? Like, are they going to be working against each other?
Inevitably, based on the volume of snow, possibly yes. Yeah. There's a good chance that we'll push it up to the edge of the boulevard, and then highways will kind of do the same, and then we're sort of fighting for real estate until we're able to get there and do a snow clearing. So
yeah, and as you mentioned, like back lanes are something that we get some feedback of people getting stuck in the back lanes, just can't get out of their lanes. But
At the same time, I think, Sam, you don't really even have the equipment to effectively leave back lane, right?
Our grader is probably too big for the half or more of the back lanes, I would say, safe estimate. So we use our loader most of the time. There's no way to effectively, remove ridges. And if you were like, let's say we had a blade on the end where we could drop our blade, there's nowhere to put that snow.
Yeah.
So in some places it's driveway after driveway, and so there's nowhere to move it. So if we were going to remove it like that, I've seen other places where they have like a large snowblower attachment and they throw a tandem truck in front of them and then they just go down the back lane and just dumping into a tandem. Now the amount of time that would take would be significant, and the additional equipment needed would also be significant too.
So I think, just to kind of close up the conversation, I think one of the things we need going into 2023 around that strategic planning is that if there's other equipment that we require to be able to deliver the expected service that our ratepayers are requesting, we should probably have that on the table so they understand that, buying a loader, doing the snow blower thing with a loader and attachment and having a tandem truck is not something you're getting for $100,000 sort of thing.
It's a $500,000 commitment to just do that, probably at least.
Salford has one, yeah.
So just going, do you have anything else you want to add on this sidewalk?
If you want to hear some rough dollar amounts, we can talk about that later, but
I just want to know what the consensus is on council right now, moving forward, at least till the end of the month, get over the Christmas season, about clearing the downtown sidewalks. Either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, fine. I'd say we should do it.
I think we should take the opportunity to do it.
I guess I would just refer back, I want us to do it as well, but I would refer back to Sam to see if he actually has is there any constraints or barriers for him to do that? Because for us to say do it, and if you can't physically do it because of other reasons.
The only constraint would be like if the units go down the sidewalk machines, that'd be a significant constraint on us. We have 2 units. I had to fight to keep the second unit, so I would like a commitment, like if we're going to be taking this on, that I would have 2 full-time pieces of equipment to use for that, because it'd be hard to do it otherwise if you're just sending out one piece of equipment that, especially with the volume of snow, is inevitably going to break down. It's going to hit something.
Whatever you, in my opinion, whatever you can do between now and the end of the month is more than has been done for the last number of years on the sidewalks. Going into the new year, the budget, then, as the mayor has said, then we'll prioritize, okay, we're going to do this area, we're going to do that area, sidewalk, back lane, whatever. What do we need to do it, and can we afford it?
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's just if there's something though, like I don't want you to just agree with us. If there's something that's really going to hold us back.
It's being recorded, right? So
I know, I do want you to push back.
I don't want to get lambasted either. So.
No, you're not going to.
I'll just keep nodding.
If it's something we can't do, like if there's other reasons, please speak up.
No, I had a meeting with our operators. They believe it can be done, but there need to be a commitment that we're going to run 2 machines all the time. That the older machine is 1999.
Yeah.
It's going to age out soon, so we have to have a commitment to buy a second unit. We have to be okay with the additional overtime expenses of the guys going out early in the morning. But it seems like they're open to it.
And then the other thing I would ask, if we could, if council's okay, is that could we get that map? Like, could we put a little tab on our website that puts the snow removal policies and procedures and the bylaw in one spot and the map, so that people would say, when they're calling Councillor Allen or myself, we could say, hey, go to the website, all that information is there for you as well, and sort of direct some traffic there.
You would maybe have to put it in your Councillor Times once to
on Facebook
or Facebook or whatever it is. Like you take the city of Winnipeg, they do theirs a red zone, green zone, whatever, stuff like that. It's well known certain zones are going to be done in a lot.
They also have an entire department for the communications as well, right? So like, yeah, so yeah. So we're running quite a thin ship here, so.
Well, I mean, I think we've had discussions on social media. That's an easy task that can be contracted out very inexpensively. So as soon as we're ready to go down that path, we can put that on the agenda and talk about it.
So, you've got priority streets, do you have private sidewalk?
good question. I believe it falls into priority 2, but the sidewalk machine is not going, if it leaves the garage, that's where he's you know what I mean? That's where he's starting. Then he's going to sort of follow the main drags, like through like McDonald Cathedral, 7th Street, around the schools, the hospital, like that. Like those are the priorities. It's similar to, it doesn't always get out at the same rate.
Say the downtown, and then go to the priority 1 streets, or the sidewalks around those priority 1 streets?
Yeah. No, he tries to follow the priority, yeah.
And then follow up on Councilor Hopper, I'm very supportive of some removal downtown. My question would be, what would you put aside to do that? What are you going to put back?
It would definitely slow down our ability to get to lifting the snow. I'm just like envisioning what we just went through right now. So we had several water breaks at the same time. So we had to delay a few water breaks in order to get to start some of the downtown area, some of the side streets to get them ready for the lifting. So that may be slowed down. Also, right now, the way the contract is written, any overtime that the employees receive can be used as holiday time. So the more overtime we provide, the potential to manpower issues we're going to run into as we move forward as well. So that's something we have to kind of really be mindful of in terms of our manpower as well, because we don't want to burn the guys out.
No, and I think you're doing a good job of that, so I think we leave that to you to prioritize. It just that it seems like we maybe have a consensus here, like the downtown sidewalks done, but obviously you know what's going on in the backfield. If we have to do something else, well, then it doesn't get done. That's the reason.
Yeah, we'll just juggle it best we can until get tried out.
And if
that easy.
some,
And we get new companies. You can't always everyone invest in sharing efforts, and you hope people follow the policy and make sure they keep front of the businesses, how good they what they can. And like I said, if we end up lacking something else, then we'll take it to the place from that end. So all we can do is do the best we can. Community is definitely a big one. We need an appointed person to say, what's Sam, what are you doing today? This is where we're going to be instantly on social media, instantly on the radio if necessary. We can't force feed everybody, that's part of the problem. Everybody expects to get the information. We say, it's on social media. Well, I'm not on social media. Well, it's in the newspaper. Well, I don't read that newspaper. Yeah. So no matter what, there's always going to be opposition. All we need to do is show the good efforts and appreciation on it. Simple as that.
I'd suggest you get little certificates made if people are complaining they can't walk on the walking path. Give them a free walk at the wellness center.
I'd like to share a story with you later, but it's
Okay, so moving on here, so we're good with snow removal, good discussion, thanks Sam. I know we're asking a lot, but if we'll see how it goes over the next few months, and like Councilor Manager mentioned, I'm sure that we may have shifted some complaints somewhere else, but I do know that there's one part of the sidewalk, but I've heard a lot of complaints about the plow through to get to the sidewalk, so I'm sure that will be on our list next. So just moving along here, going down to community feedback. So again, I just threw this on here not to have a major discussion on it right now, but sort of what we just said a little while ago about the communication, right? So if we can kind of get more active in an area where we can have these updates where people can kind of go to, whether it's a website, Facebook, whatever it happens to be. And I know we might not have the resources, so we have a resource, we may have to prioritize people to do something differently if it's more important, whatever it happens to be. But I would like us to start thinking about sort of this, how do we get feedback from our community? And I get a bunch of, since it snowed, I've been getting a lot of emails, and most of the time I just direct them on to you guys and acknowledge that the person is sensitive. But how do we be proactive on that so that they're not asking the questions? They can go to a place where they can see that information ahead of time. And one of the things I talked about is that whole thing around community corporate scorecards, right? So sort of goes in line with that. And I would also, as part of our strategic planning, like to set up some community meetings where we can sit in front of the people that have elected us and give them an update on where we've come, what we sort of need to have that strategic planning process underway first to kind of get that moving. So Councilor?
Something that's been done in the past, after each council meeting, the mayor would go on the local radio and chat up Reader's Digest style what we talked about tonight. That's just one outlet. You talked about other media outlets, but that is one, and you get good feedback, and
Absolutely, that's a good.
Many communities have a thing called the Mayor's Corner, right?
We have, so we've set up with the Ocaska Times, so after every council meeting, she calls me. I give her a kind of an overview. I wasn't here last week, so she called Councillor Lane, so I am talking to her tomorrow on the Ocaska Times. But for sure, I can touch bases with the radio and give them the sort of Coles Notes version of what the meeting was about. And
they welcome you there, and it's another avenue of getting the word out.
I would like us to have, I would like us as a council though to get out to the employees before the end of the year and have a discussion, because we've been elected to either go and have a coffee with the guys and kind of get to know them, and like to do that more on a quarterly basis, as well as one of the things that I took away from the election was when we were talking to people, they're very happy to share ideas and information with you. And I think if we could set up a little bit of a coffee with the mayor and council where it's informal, no agenda, it's not that we're making decisions. Me and Trent are meeting, our new friend here at the West Canada for coffee, we have a chit chat, go to Bad Boys, their table where all the news is on.
The negative table.
Knowledge table.
The knowledge table, yeah.
So something to think about, but Sam, did you have something?
I was going to say, I like the idea of the radio station, but you should make it a call-in show, just to keep you on your toes a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say, just wait, Sam's both such as self-represented.
Yeah, you do now. That's terrifying.
And that's been done in the past as well. Works great. I mean, just people calling, you're only going to take 2 or 3 calls.
I think that's a great idea. I really do believe that we need to be more accessible. We need to be more open to feedback, whether it's good or bad. And we also need to make good decisions. Sometimes it doesn't make everybody happy.
Councilors will be calling in.
So it's something to think about. I know myself and Jen did look up did some work in maybe creating a newsletter, but again, it goes to what we said earlier. We don't want to create something that's going to take a ton of work and maybe only not get the real message out there. And then it goes on to the next one. We sort of talked about it already, so that grant writer position. So I did put on that this has been on the agenda of the past council as well, to create some sort of position. One thing we have to be cautious about with grant writing is that it's great to ask to go after grants, but that has to fit our plan, and it also have to remember it's not all free. Like if it's something that is good and that's a benefit to the company to the community, and we're wanting to make that investment, then it's something we should be chasing. But sometimes there's money out there that still requires you to come up with 50 or 60 or 70% of the capital costs, and it might not fit into our strategic plan. So I do believe this is a good fit for us to have the discussion at budget time to add this position to economic development with regards to supporting that group, which then already works very closely with Jen and Sam and Kelsey and everybody, that we can kind of work together to get some of these grants and making sure that responsibility doesn't get missed. So that's all I had. So again, we just put that down for you guys there, just so that it's on our radar so that we know next year. The next one is an issue sheet from the fire department, our fire chief. Did you have anything else, Sam, you want to share with us?
I was just waiting to see if I was any more. No, I'm good.
Yeah, just give us more.
I'll be around all night, so.
Oh, nice. Okay, so the fire department, Fire Chief Cody sent us a report on that 1984 Ford tanker. So I guess There was a structure fire out on November 13th out at CKP, and they ended up, it looks like they've lost, the engine is piled up on that truck, which was already earmarked to be redeployed elsewhere. From their high-level estimate, it says that, the cost of repairing this truck is around $50,000. Again, this is just from discussions with the mechanics and the purchasing people over at the garage. He did mention that statistically the truck is utilized primarily for grass fires. And in the last 3 years, it's only been used actually 13 times out of the 460 responses. That was used for 11 runs in a water supply situation. So, so the price of that equipment may not be suitable to rebuild, but it then leaves a gap for the community between right now, I guess today, and July of when this new tanker is to show up in the community. So that's the one issue with that. So if you go look at the bottom, there's one recommendation that Cody's saying is that we can lease a truck from Seahawk for about $2,700 a month to back us up, to have that second tanker, or the third one, I guess, here between now and July. So that's about a $16,000 cost. And then, so that's the first issue, and then I'll summarize the second part, is because it's kind of got two issues, or two recommendations in there. So, comments?
Did he, read through his correspondence there, did he not say that water supply has not been an issue because of the mutual aid agreements with?
Right.
So between now and July, is that not an issue? I would go over to Councillor Manich just for an opinion on that, because you have the experience there. Like, is the water supply an issue between, he said it's not an issue right now.
I have to be careful what I say, because anything I say will be considered sour grapes.
No.
And it is necessary to have that third truck without a doubt. I promoted that to the previous two council, how important it was. This truck going down was also predicted. It's down a little sooner than anticipated, but either way it was earmarked to be replaced on purpose or for a reason. I did talk with the department as recently as today that number isn't actually accurate in terms of that 3% response rate and growth, because they were looking at, if we use the truck as it's intended, then it was only used 3% of the time. Keep in mind that truck was still used to get firefighters to a scene. It was still an apparatus that was used for various other items. So the statistics, the way they're put together, don't paint the proper picture.
So insurance, $2,700 a month?
$2,700 a month.
That's cheap.
The thing I would want to know is, what happens if that truck has a problem? You're dealing again with a truck that's 14 years old. What happens? Are we responsible for the purchase of that truck if we blow it up? Well, the question would be, the insurance obviously would cover some of those things.
Must be something in the rental agreement.
It's this rental agreement.
Yeah, you have to know all that information. The truck is definitely needed. It won't replace what was there. I mean, it's close enough, because this truck was only 1,750 gallons, and this one's going to be 1,500, which does replace that.
Yeah.
Does it have a monitor? Does it have the same kinds of features that truck did have?
Well, they can still draft from it, still supply water. Yeah.
You should build, yes. Unfortunately, we always did have a great relationship with OCN. Unfortunately, with most of the members actually living in town, but responding almost 7 miles to the department, you're about half an hour away. When you need water, you need it right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, that you've been a firefighter, you understand that initial attack to reset the fire is what's crucial. Getting that water.
Is this truck, just for my information, is this truck, though, if there's a fire, we have two trucks, do we meet the codes now to have two trucks to respond to a fire, and it's really a concern if that one, there's not another one to back up that one that goes down?
There are a lot of issues when you get into the standards. The problem is we cover such a wide range.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You might be somewhere else,
If
yeah.
you don't have a secondary truck there,
Yeah.
then that may limit your ability to
Yeah.
do an interior attack.
Yeah.
It may tell you there's possibly someone inside. Well, you don't have the bodies or the abilities to prevent yourself.
So I guess what we're saying here is that we agree with Cody's recommendation, is that we need a backup truck in July, from July till, or from January to July.
And just to council manager's concern there, just have a look at their rental agreement and
Oh, yeah,
all
for
of
sure.
that. I'm sure it's standard
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Without a doubt, we need a truck. I mean, the 7 years that I was here was, we don't have enough
Yeah.
apparatus.
So then the second part of this, and I completely agree with this, especially with all the concerns that we've had over the last little while, is having an actual external audit of our fire department and getting an actual some feedback. So if you see, what he's asking is that the department's open to some department consultation. Fire department has gone a long time without having an outside source look. So they can review the administration, operations, health and safety training infrastructure, the apparatus hall, equipment, provide some sort of guidance on that. And then it also could potentially tie into a bit of a savings on our insurance rating with regards to getting this auditing done. So I also agree that, I mean, we'll have to put this into our budget, and I don't know where it would come from, Jen, but I do agree that we should go forward with the audit of the department.
Jen, or not Jen, Graham and I, when we stayed over here, we did talk about this. I had J.D. Coos and Ben Brandis right here talking about this audit. The 150 calls a year that this department receives, which approximately 60% of them are false alarms, is hard to justify, and that's what Graham and I came down. Hard to justify spending $30,000 on an audit when most of the items can be easily put together by somebody putting the work in. And that was well underway. So to have someone else come in and say, yeah, you need to have a truck. Well, we know that. You need to have this. We know that. These are all things that are known. It's a matter of putting it attached.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is with all the criticism that the department has taken and the council has taken due to all sorts of issues in the last year, I believe it's money well spent to put our citizens at either put a direct action plan from an external consultant that has no ties to our community, that says this is in good shape, this isn't in good shape, this is your move forward, this is what you have to do. A lot of people don't understand maybe the details that Councillor Manich has, but I mean, I will be pushing forward for this.
so something they would want to send quotes out and see who's,
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing, and we'll get a detail what the proposal looks like. But I think what Cody is asking, he's making some recommendations here. The first one is really means nothing. Well, it means nothing. It's obviously we're going to continue our mutual aid agreement. The second part is we want Cody to move forward with the rental agreement for a second truck. And the third part is we will be looking forward to seeing what this consultation looks like so that we can move forward.
and again, I think for insurance purposes, that's all basically rated on pumper capacity.
Yeah, your pump
Nothing-
capacity, all kinds of things.
Right, and that's what this, and that's
We already have that.
well, I don't know, I mean,
I don't know if you can access my old email, but you'll actually find exactly what that assessment includes.
so anyways, we can bring that forward anyways, and I think, so we'll bring the details to the next meeting.
Just for clarification, council's in agreement with Cody moving forward with all of this?
Yeah, but we would need to get a little bit, like, we still have to understand what the consultation details are and a little bit more what that proposal is. What's that?
The scope.
Yeah, the scope, right.
When was the last audit done?
Never will.
Yeah.
I thought you said it's been a long time since.
That's a long time.
It's a polite way of saying it.
Yeah, that's a polite way of saying never. But again, just to close up the conversation on this, I mean, there has been a lot of attention around this whole department over the last year or so it's, it'll be... What's that, Councillor Mann? Did you have something to comment for?
Yeah, I did.
So what was that?
I said there needs to be assessments on other areas, not just fire department.
Well, you can always put in an issue sheet and put it on the agenda anytime you like. So, but on this item here, this is what the recommendation is. Any other questions with this? Perfect. So if you'll let Cody know, Jen? Thank you. Okay, moving down to anything else other than new business for the next meeting. I'm looking at you, Councillor Hopper.
I had something here, I had something. My mic was off for the first hour, so they didn't have to turn it off. No, I was...
Nothing, okay. You always can put in an issue sheet.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so we're now moving down to, I did citizen period for the second time, so I didn't miss anybody. We're going into camera. I don't know, are you guys here for the in-camera session?
If you don't know what in-camera is, then you're not here for it.
So they're here for something else?
Okay, so yeah, for the in-camera, did you guys, were just listening in today?
Concerned citizens.
Oh, okay, good.
No comments? Oh, that's what you
We had citizen period there, so we'll even give you an opportunity to, because we're done now, we're going to have to ask you to leave.
But we're still in citizens period.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, we're still, yeah, that's what I said, we can still hear from you today.
If you have some questions for us, Mayor's saying, fire away.
I have one question, actually.
Yeah.
I'm curious which one of you or who in town is, I guess, the point person for beautification and tourism and kind of improvement, generally speaking.
At the Councillor Ward.
Gabrielle, you'll hear from me.
Yeah. So we have like a destination marketing group.
Yeah.
Our administration is probably somebody you could talk to, Jen, and she could point you in the right direction on that. Tourism, Jackie and Daryl Bauer from OCN sort of jointly run the place branding. So they work with, they have, what's her name, sort of works with them as well. Donna, yeah, Donna has been great on the website and stuff, so yeah, those would be and if any counselor, if you ever want to just chat with them, give them a call.
Just a question on your question. Were you asking that because you're interested in doing the flowers for the downtown?
Definitely not.
No? Okay. Just checking.
I'm thinking a little bigger than flowers.
Oh, good. Yeah, so downtown beautification, then if you're talking more than just that, Jackie would be, that's in her mandate. Yeah. Yourself? No? Okay, well, we're moving into camera, so we're going to have to ask those that aren't here to participate, including our, how was your first meeting?
It was good. I learned a lot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good. You going to come back?
I was gonna...
We're going to make sure that Councillor Lane sits over there.
Is that your
new chair?
Is that your dad?
Yeah.
That's your dad. You should have introduced him. You should have put him on the spot.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks for coming. We appreciate you being there.
So,
if you have any questions anytime, feel free to reach out to any of the councillors or myself, and we can bring you up to speed and get you engaged in some communication. Maybe give us a report. And maybe even if you want, if you have something from the school, if you want to report on the next meeting, just let us know and we'll get you on the agenda.
Have a name tag and your own spot. Okay.
Tell Principal Lane tomorrow that you actually should have 2 hours off of school tomorrow.
Exactly. Extra credits. Do you get credit for this? Oh, you really?
You should.
Should.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
I'll have to question him on that.
Should.
like as a volunteer credit?
Yeah.
There's something, I think there was, what's her name? That,
Ramble. Vacation.
No, Luce.
We'll get on them with
I
that.
can't remember her name now. I thought that... Cordelia, yes. I thought that there was some kind of credit, or... Yeah.
I will check for Mr. Lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to move in?
Anyway,
Okay,
nice
so-
meeting you. You take care.
See you in January.
Rest of your meeting?
So resolve that we do now move ourselves into the in-camera portion of Committee of the Whole with Mayor Murphy in the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
Is the camera off? Yeah, I'm gonna have a bath.